Bedford Drive, Huntley, Illinois. He's Chief Deputy Ted Hennessy's wife, so that's why I'm Huntley. Just have a few questions, and I completely respect what's been happening behind closed doors, so I'm not asking anyone to reveal anything that they're not allowed to reveal. So I just have some quick questions that I need for clarification and that people may find helpful. I know we may have rehashed some of this, and I apologize. I was traveling last week, so let the questions begin. Does the municipal law of Wauconda allow the mayor to appoint a police chief of his choosing with board consent? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Per the Daily Herald article dated August 16, Mayor Bart stated verbatim, "If I do not have a unanimous vote, I am not going to bring it up. I don't want to have the board divided. That sets Yost in a bad position." Close quote. Is it fair to assume Yost did not have the votes needed for appointment? Yes or no? I'll move on.
Yeah, vote hasn't been taken.
Does
Did you get that answer?
No, I'm sorry.
So the vote hasn't been taken.
A vote hasn't been taken. Considering he did a unilateral decision and stated in the article that he didn't want to appoint without board approval because it would look bad for Yost, can it be assumed that the board did not have backing behind the decision? Let's just skip over that, just so the question's out there and record it. Does municipal law state the mayor may appoint a police chief without the consent of the board, for example, on an interim basis?
It doesn't state the office of police chief. It just says that where there is a vacancy, and if there is a failure to obtain consent of the board, then a temporary appointment can be made. And that would apply to public works director, village attorney, police chief.
Oh, if there's a
village
failure.
engineer, any office that's established by village ordinance.
If there's a
So
failure.
would it be fair to say that interim municipal guidance for the intent of an interim is probably used most likely on an emergency basis?
I don't understand the question that you,
If it allows for an interim appointment,
yes.
the law, the municipal code, whatever you're calling it, is the intent that it be used in cases of emergency, or is it the intent that you can place someone into an interim position to avoid board vote?
No, it's not to avoid board vote. It can't be to avoid board vote, but it can be in place of a failure to obtain the board's consent.
Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
But it's
that's fine, yeah.
particularly important where there's a vacancy. I keep going back to that.
Government's
because
gotta run.
I have to keep it in that context,
Okay.
because it's different if the office is occupied.
Fair enough, appreciate that. During your tenure as Wauconda Board of Trustees, has an interim police chief ever been appointed due to lack of board consent?
Doesn't even go back.
So this has never happened before?
I can't say never, right?
Okay, I'm just asking as your tenure. So would it be fair to say that if issues like this do arise and are put in front of a court of law, that the village will be paying for this?
Paying for what?
Defense? To defend
If the
themselves in a
village is
court of
sued,
law?
it'll pay for its defense, but it depends on the nature of the suit, whether or not it's covered by insurance, because there's public officials liability insurance, there's general liability insurance,
Okay,
and it's usually insurance covers that defense, that's what they pay.
and if it goes beyond the insurance coverage, the village will be paying for it?
It depends on what's being alleged
Okay.
and what's proven.
Okay, great. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
good questions, Wendy.
Can I just ask a quick follow-up question then? Or the next one? Lee Meyer, 2835 Liberty Lakes Boulevard. So you said that the interim appointment cannot be to to avoid a board vote, is that what you said? Is that what I heard?
I wasn't speaking to avoid a board vote, and I can't talk out of closed session.
No, I understand
no
that,
votes are
but
taken.
is that,
No votes were taken.
he cannot use that to avoid a board vote, so there would have to be another reason he didn't ask for a vote?
I think any interim appointment made without a board vote avoids a board vote.
And you're
The
saying
nature
that,
of
but
it.
you're saying he can't appoint someone to that position?
If there's a failure of the mayor and the board to agree on the appointment and the office is vacant, the mayor may make an interim appointment.
So, but there hasn't been a
It
failure
wasn't
yet
then
because there hasn't been a
vacant.
vote.
And there isn't a
Well,
vacancy
you're-
yet.
You're getting into the substance of, closed session.
All right,
Exactly.
I just wanted, that's what I heard, I
Discussion.
wanted to
There's
clarify.
been no votes in closed session, I just want to keep emphasizing that. When I'm there never will be, but there's been discussion.
Maria?
There's also been no vacancy until September 1st, so how was the appointment made prior to that?
I don't believe there's been any official record filed with the
Is the newspaper
Or
okay?
there-
Yeah,
there-
right, the
there-
newspaper.
It
comments.
starts
and
September
comments
1st.
and articles and, we don't control all that, but there's been no official designation filed with the village.
Yes.
It's been, brought to my attention that the mayor did apologize to some bad behavior towards previous tenures of the village. That was done verbally. Do you know if the mayor intends to apologize to, Chief Larson for slanderous comments that were made in the Daily Herald about his character?
That's closed session too,
That's excellent.
because
I'm not able to answer that question.
I just want to point out that it's one thing to say something verbally to someone, but to put it in fine print, shame. He should see an apology on paper in the Daily Herald. You just want to pass that along to Mayor Bart.
Yes, sir.
Scott Weisberg, 25583 West Wilson. I would just like to say to the board and to the village attorney, just for the record, you may see me again in court, obviously, for what I just heard, but would you find it interesting or appalling to the fact that on the election night that Mayor Bart won the election, that he announced and shook my hand and announced to me that Chief Yost, Officer Yost, Sergeant Yost, was the next police chief? Just so that you're aware of that, so that under oath, when I get called before the stand, that obviously, since there was no vote, that was said that night, so that will be what I have to say. So I just find it very ironic that what you had to say to this woman here, that's very interesting to me.
We only know what our census tells us.
Correct.
Exactly.
And by all means, I completely respect the board. By all means, I want that to be on record, and
Yes.
I just
Here, here.
wanted to
Yes.
make sure.